Access to justice is at the heart of our profession. If folks do not have adequate legal representation, there is no justice. Justice for all means that everyone who needs a lawyer gets a lawyer.
We have hundreds of thousands of Coloradans who are income eligible for Colorado Legal Services assistance, and it's just not nearly enough. I know they're turning away typically people who are calling to apply for CLS assistance, 1 out of every 2 people.
You know, for me, access to justice embodies the obligation that we as members of this profession have to ensure that everyone in society who needs help with a legal problem can get help with the legal problem.
We see that echoed in Rule of Professional Conduct 6.1. It may be aspirational, but these things come together to remind us that we have an obligation as lawyers to give back. Local access to justice committees also are very good about assigning cases, but when lawyers either aren't able or willing to take on full cases, then they can still volunteer for legal clinics.
What I've found is that the clients that are in the most need for help that come into the legal clinics, that even 10 minutes, 15 minutes of time with a lawyer has been life-changing for them.
I remember the first time that I went to a legal clinic, I got a huge range of people coming in with problems, someone whose car had been repossessed, which is not an area of law that I know anything about, but I knew enough to be able to say, you'll be able to figure out where your car is, and there's a process you can go through to get it back if you need to. So it felt like with limited knowledge and limited time, I was able to make a big difference in people's lives.
Under the rules of professional conduct, if you've passed the bar and had any practical experience as a lawyer, you're probably going to be fine in that legal clinic or hotline setting. Basic questions are being asked of attorneys, and you would be surprised of how much you know. And if you're asked a question that you can't answer, often there is another attorney in the room or available on the hotline who could assist.
I know nothing about loans or how to file things or how to write it properly and be clear what things you're supposed to write, what things you're not supposed to write because they are irrelevant. So I don't have the money to pay a lawyer the fees hourly that they usually charge to get those simple answers.
I probably get more out of it than maybe the client does because I really feel like I'm helping someone who really needed the help. There's certainly folks who can afford any attorney on the street, but these folks coming to these clinics feel like they have nowhere to turn, that no one's there to help them in the legal community, and so being able to sit down and help them just makes me feel like I'm doing my duty as an attorney and as a just member of the community to give back.
My first pro bono case was in an area of law that I was unfamiliar in, immigration law. I represented a refugee seeking asylum. And I knew that if we lost that case, that refugee would likely be sent back to his home country where he would be persecuted, tortured, and possibly killed. Fortunately, we prevailed in that case. And it's those types of pro bono experiences that have given me the confidence, the skills, and really the perspective to represent my corporate clients today.
If you're doing a short-term limited legal representation, you actually are not subject to certain rules of professional conduct. You have to disqualify yourself from a representation if you know of a conflict. But normally, attorneys would have to run a conflict check, and that's something you don't have to do when you're in that clinic or hotline setting.
Rule 6.5 of the Rules of Professional Conduct was specifically added to the rules to make it possible to participate in a legal clinic. And what 6.5 says is, if you have actual knowledge of a conflict, then you can't advise this client. But you don't have to do a conflicts check. The conflicts of your partners in your firm or associates in your firm are not going to be imputed to you when you're participating in a short-term legal advice clinic.
After spending years in the military as an officer and a lawyer, I moved to Colorado and I immediately started doing pro bono work. Even though I was very satisfied doing work to help the national defense, it wasn't until I started doing pro bono work that I truly felt good in helping others and making a difference in the lives of people and my community.
I am a solo practitioner. I don't have the budget for marketing, but I will tell you, having someone you helped pro bono, speaking highly of you and how much you cared about them as a person and how great of a job you did as an attorney for them. When folks are considering attorneys and hear that, trust me, it's been just wonderful for my career. It's been a great referral source. Trying to do pro bono work, even though that was not the purpose of why it started.
When I leave here, I'm refreshed. It's exciting to come and sit down with folks that are so gracious for what we're able to give them. And from the attorney's perspective, it's very, very little that we're giving them. I'm giving them maybe, half an hour to an hour of my time and working on legal issues that might seem modest or simple to us as attorneys, but they make a big difference for folks.
I grew up 7 miles from the U.S.-Mexico inspection point in South Texas, and based solely on the fact that we were migrant farm workers and the color of our skin, we were treated horribly. I am now in a position to change people's lives because they do not know their rights. Going out and providing them their rights, educating them about their rights, and helping them is the most significant thing that I could have done with my life.
I often think of the words that are enshrined over our buildings, right? Justice for all. And so it's our obligation to try to give life to those words. How do we make sure that people actually are able to achieve justice for all? We do it by providing pro bono representation. And even if we don't have a lot of time that we can devote to that, we can still make time for a legal clinic where our responsibility will come to an end at the end of the clinic.